The dawn in the Middle East today did not break with the soft hues of sunlight, but with violent crimson pillars of fire that scorched the night sky over the heart of Tehran. What the world is currently witnessing is not merely another chapter of regional friction, but a masterfully synchronized military execution that redefines the parameters of modern warfare. Stratofortress bombers to conduct what military strategists call a softening of the target. These flying fortresses unleashed a torrential downpour of precision-guided munitions, systematically dismantling the Iranian integrated air defense network, neutralizing long-range radar installations, and obliterating critical surface-to-air missile batteries. This initial wave was designed to strip away the regime's eyes and ears, leaving their most sensitive assets exposed and vulnerable. However, the true devastation was delivered by the B-1 Lancer in a strike so rapid it defied conventional response times, delivering a payload of advanced bunker buster bombs onto a deep underground command and control facility. This complex, buried hundreds of feet beneath the earth and shielded by layers of reinforced concrete, was supposed to be the indestructible sanctuary for the nation's military and political leadership. But the B-1 Lancers proved otherwise, turning the facility into a subterranean graveyard. Breaking reports from intelligence circles in Tel Aviv now confirm that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, was among those neutralized in the strike. It is a seismic event that decapitates the leadership of the Islamic Republic and throws the entire regional proxy network into a state of absolute chaos. As news of the strike spread, global oil markets reacted with unprecedented volatility, sending prices to heights not seen in over a decade, has effectively pushed the world to the brink of a new era. While the streets of Tehran are gripped by panic and confusion, the presence of American and Israeli air power overhead serves as a grim reminder that this operation is far from over. The tactical brilliance of the B-1 Lancer strike lies in its sheer speed and the overwhelming power of its payload. Known in military circles as the Bone, the B-1 is a variable sweep-wing supersonic bomber that can carry more weapons than any other aircraft in the United States inventory. During this mission, the bombers flew at extremely low altitudes, skimming the terrain to avoid detection by any remaining mobile radar. Units that might have survived the initial B-52 strikes. The primary weapon deployed was the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, a specialized bomb weighing 30,000 pounds. This weapon is specifically engineered to defeat the most hardened underground targets, capable of penetrating 60 feet of reinforced concrete or 200 feet of earth before its massive warhead detonates. When these bombs struck the command center beneath Tehran, the force of the impact was so great that it registered as a magnitude 4.5 earthquake on international seismic sensors. The targeted facility, which the regime had long boasted was a mountain of safety, was reduced to a smoking crater in less than a minute. For the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, this strike represents a catastrophic failure of intelligence and defense, with their top-tier leadership gone and their primary communication hubs destroyed. The chain of command has effectively evaporated. Surrender or launch desperate, uncoordinated retaliatory strikes. In the streets of the capital, thousands of residents have begun to flee toward the countryside, fearing that more waves of bombers are on the way. The psychological warfare aspect of this mission is just as potent as the physical destruction. The United States has demonstrated that no location is safe and no leader is out of reach. In Washington, military officials are closely monitoring the movement of Iranian naval assets in the Persian Gulf and ballistic missile sites in the desert, prepared to respond to any signs of a counteroffensive. The geopolitical ripple effects are already being felt as allies and adversaries alike scramble to reassess their positions in a Middle East that has been fundamentally changed in the span of just 50 seconds. In the immediate aftermath of the strike, standing before the world, he characterized the operation as a definitive blow against decades of state-sponsored terror and nuclear brinkmanship. To the people of Iran, his message was startlingly direct. He called on them to seize this moment of unprecedented weakness within the regime and reclaim their nation. He told the citizens of Tehran and beyond that their hour of freedom was at hand, urging them to stay sheltered and avoid the streets while the precision campaign continued to dismantle the remnants of the oppressive state apparatus. This appeal for internal revolution marks a radical departure from traditional containment strategies. Meanwhile, the military footprint of the United States in the region has expanded at a staggering pace. Two massive carrier strike groups, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford and the USS Abraham Lincoln, serve as a steel curtain against any potential interference from regional actors or proxy forces. In Israel, the atmosphere is a mix of high alert vigilance and strategic triumph. Intelligence officials in Jerusalem have reportedly shared high-resolution satellite imagery with their American counterparts, confirming the total destruction of the underground command hub and providing what they claim is undeniable proof of the elimination of the supreme leadership. However, the victory is shadowed by the looming threat of a cornered animal. Scattered reports suggest that elements of the Revolutionary Guard. The Pentagon has warned that any attempt to launch a counterattack will be met with a response so overwhelming that it would effectively erase the remaining military infrastructure of the country. But how much more blood will be spilled before the transition is complete? The global community stands at a crossroads, witnessing the collapse of an old order and the violent birth of a new, uncertain reality. Reports from Iranian state media are painting a far grimmer picture of the aftermath. In the southern city of Minab, officials claim that an errant airstrike struck a girls' school. While these reports remain unverified and are viewed by some as desperate regime propaganda, the United States has confirmed it is investigating the incident, reiterating that its forces never deliberately target non-combatants. This information warfare is unfolding alongside a massive diplomatic retreat. Across the Middle East, the landscape of American influence is shifting overnight, citing credible threats of retaliatory strikes from local proxy groups. American nationals throughout the region have been issued urgent directives to evacuate immediately, though the logistical reality of leaving a region on the brink of total war is proving nearly impossible as commercial flights are grounded and airspace remains a combat zone. The question now haunting military analysts is whether this was a masterstroke of decisive action or the biggest strategic miscalculation of the 21st century. Fragmented state, much like the aftermath of the invasions of Iraq or Afghanistan, but on a much more volatile scale. Supporters, however, point to the absolute paralysis of the Revolutionary Guard as proof that the regime was a house of cards waiting for the right gust of wind. In the Gulf states, the tension is palpable as missiles continue to be intercepted over major hubs like Tel Aviv and Haifa. The regional fire is no longer a localized conflict. It has become a global crisis. Every hour that passes brings new reports of skirmishes along the borders and the movement of heavy artillery. Reorganization of the world order. The stakes have never been higher, and the path forward is shrouded in the smoke of a burning capital. As the smoke thickens over the shattered remains of Tehran's command centers, the international community is witnessing what some critics are calling a chilling reunion tour of the most hawkish military strategies of the past 20 years. High-profile figures in Washington have publicly lauded the invasion, promising a campaign of absolute dominance in the coming 2 weeks to ensure the regime never rises again. This rhetoric, while intended to show strength, has reignited fierce debates over the legality and the long-term strategic morality of the strike. While the administration celebrates a perfect decapitation strike, the reality on the ground across the Levant is shifting toward a dark and unpredictable insurgency. For decades, the Islamic Republic has cultivated a vast and lethal network of proxies, including Hezbollah and Hamas, which are now believed to be activating sleeper cells and long-range missile batteries across the region. Historical data from previous conflicts reminds us that 75 to 80% of American casualties in Iraq were attributed to Iranian-made roadside bombs and specialized munitions. This legacy of sophisticated asymmetrical warfare is the ghost that now haunts every tactical map in the Pentagon. In Israel, the vibrant streets of Tel Aviv have been transformed into eerie ghost cities, while government censorship attempts to control the flow of information and maintain a facade of normalcy. The paralyzing fear of a massive coordinated missile barrage from the north has driven the population into reinforced bunkers. The world is watching a high-stakes gamble where the prize is a reshaped middle east and the cost is potentially a global economic collapse. Strategic analysts warn that the elimination of the supreme leader may not lead to the democratic flowering the White House envisions, but rather a brutal, lawless power struggle between even more radicalized factions within the Revolutionary Guard. These splinter groups, with their central command destroyed, could weaponize the remaining nuclear infrastructure or target the vital shipping lanes of the Strait of Hormuz. With 20% of the world's petroleum passing through that narrow corridor, any disruption would trigger a financial catastrophe that would be felt in every household across the globe. The precision of the B-1 Lancers may have won the opening 50 seconds. But the war for the survival of the global order is only just beginning. The tactical success of the mission has left the world in a state of stunned silence. As the unthinkable has become a documented reality, for years military experts debated whether a conventional strike could truly decapitate a regime as fortified as the one in Tehran. The answer was delivered in less than 60 seconds by the B-1 Lancer. While the B-52 Stratofortress bombers acted as the sledgehammer, shattering the outer shell of the Iranian defense network, it was the B-1 that acted as the surgeon's scalpel, cutting out the heart of the leadership. This operation marks the first time in history that a major regional power has seen its entire top-level command structure evaporated in a single engagement. The implications for future warfare are staggering. We are now entering an era where deep underground bunkers, once thought to be the ultimate insurance policy for dictators, are nothing more than high-tech tombs. The psychological blow to remaining Iranian forces is immeasurable. The realization that there is no depth or thickness of concrete that can provide safety has led to a total collapse of command and control. In Washington, key figures have already signaled that the next 2 weeks will involve a relentless campaign to ensure the threat is permanently neutralized. As additional strike packages remain in the air and the naval presence in the Persian Gulf reaches its highest density in history, the message is clear that the old status quo is dead. The geopolitical map of the Middle East is being redrawn in real time, not by diplomats at a conference table, but by the precision of supersonic bombers and the raw power of advanced ordnance. As the first light of a new day begins to filter through the smoke over the Alborz Mountains, the world is left to contemplate the terrifying efficiency of modern military technology. The 50 seconds that broke Tehran will be studied for generations as the moment when the nature of global power changed forever. The silence following the roar of the B-1 engines is not a sign of peace, but the heavy and expectant pause before the next chapter of history begins.